Chapter 6. Sarah, Abbie, Constance. "Hello, girls," said the black-tie man as he crouched under the hedge with a threatening smile, his face so close they could smell his breath. "Time to go." Abbie and Sarah were so shocked they couldn't move. Black-tie guy casually slid his knife back into its sheath beneath his coat and grabbed the two girls by the scruffs of their necks, dragging them out from under the hedge just as the blue-tie woman appeared. She wore the same chilling smile. Let go, Sarah said, trying to wiggle away. "I want to go home. I want to see my mom and dad. Let go." Black-tie man held the girls fast in his iron grip. "Where is everyone?" Sarah thought. "Why isn't anyone helping?" Abbie was wondering the same thing. Just then, their neighbour, Mrs. Constance, came out of her house and walked down her driveway on the opposite side of the lawn from the hedge and turned left on the sidewalk, coming towards them. The girls didn't know much about her, other than she walked around their neighbourhood several times a day, always with her headphones on. They had always guessed that she was in her late 60s because of her white hair, but she looked much younger now that they were seeing her up close. "Hi, girls," Mrs. Constance said cheerily, not seeming to notice that the girls were being held prisoner by Black-Tie Guy. Sarah was about to yell for help when she felt something dig into her side. She winced as the sharp tip of the knife broke her skin. "Say hello, girls," Black-Tie Guy said. "Not nice to be rude." "Oh, I hardly think these girls are rude. I've known them for years, always very chatty. Are you not, girls?" The look on Mrs. Constance's face was hard to read. She often looked at them as she walked past their house, but she never said hello. So why was she acting so friendly now? Yes?" Sarah said, sensing this was the right answer. "Of course you are. Such lovely girls," Mrs. Constance continued with a big smile, like they were old friends. "And you are growing so fast, I cannot believe it." She stepped towards the girls as if to inspect them. Their blue-suited captors shifted their feet, and Black-Tie Guy drew the girls in tight. The knife under his coat pressed a little harder against Sarah's ribs. She closed her eyes, trying not to cry. "We are just taking the girls home," the blue-tie woman said. "Their parents asked us to bring them back to do their homework," she smiled. Mrs. Constance didn't appear to be listening. Instead, she was looking over their shoulders at something, or someone, in the distance behind them. With a very slight nod in that direction, she turned back to the girls, flashing him her biggest smile yet as she knelt down in front of them. She smelled like Laurie, their bus driver. Fresh bread. Not like the stink of the person holding them. "Well now," Mrs. Constance said, "you two best get going with your friends here and get to that homework." As she stood up and slid her headphones on, Mrs. Constance appeared to lose her balance, leaning in towards Sarah for a brief second as she put her hand down to catch herself. "Scream when I say now," Mrs. Constance whispered to her, winking. What was that?" Blue-tie woman asked. "Oh, nothing," Mrs. Constance replied as she straightened up. With another subtle nod into the distance, Mrs. Constance turned to Sarah, looked at her rather plainly, and said one word. "Now." Everything came together for the perfect meltdown. Sarah was scared, tired, and hungry. She didn't know why her mom wasn't at the bus stop. She didn't know what had happened to their backyard. She didn't know what had happened to Kate, and she didn't like this stranger holding her so tightly with a knife to her side. Letting loose the storm that had been building up inside her all day, Sarah breathed in deeply and let out a high-pitched shriek that could have broken glass. "Sarah, stop!" Abbie winced, shrugging her shoulders to her ears. At the sound of Sarah's scream, the two people in suits froze like statues, unable to move. Not sure what was happening, the girls wiggled out of the man's rigid arms and stood beside Mrs. Constance. As they looked at their captors, the only movement they saw was coming from the same weird bluish-purple color rolling up and down their faces, like it had when Abbie jabbed the blue-tie woman with her thumb in the backyard. Mrs. Constance whipped off her headphones and knelt down again before the girls. "I don't have time to explain." She spun them around and pointed to the house at the end of the street. "Do you see that house? The one with the stone front? The girls knew it. It was a grand-looking European-style house set back behind a large stand of trees. There was a semicircular driveway that curved into the stand on one side and out the other. The girls had made up lots of stories about who might live there, but they never saw anyone come or go. Abbie and Sarah nodded at Mrs. Constance. Good. I need you to run there as fast as you can. Do not stop. Before the girls could move, Mrs. Constance took Sarah's shoulders and turned her back around, looking her square in the eye, much the same way Sarah's mom had done that very morning. Sarah, you did a great job. You are very brave, and I know you are small and tired, but small can be powerful. I need you to continue to be brave. Can you do that for me? Sarah nodded, looking like she'd rather cry than be brave. Good. You and your sister have about 5 minutes before these two, she motioned with her head towards the immobile people, come to. And when they do, well, they will not be happy. You both need to get to that house. You'll be safe there. But they must not see where you went, so you need to get there before they can turn around. Do you understand? Sarah didn't speak. Do you understand? Mrs. Constance said again. Her voice was urgent and hard. Abbie spoke up. Yeah, we do. Come on, Sarah. Let's go. For the third time that day, Abbie grabbed Sarah and pushed her to run as fast as her little legs could go. Run! Mrs. Constance shouted at them. You only have a few minutes. Abbie glanced over her shoulder to see Mrs. Constance pulling out her own knife from under her jacket. She brought it up in a smooth arc in front of her face and stood at the ready for the two people to come back to life. Mrs. Constance needed information, and she was going to get it. The house was farther than it looked. Abbie's legs were burning, so she couldn't imagine how Sarah must be feeling. I can't, Abbie. Can we walk? Sarah pleaded, scrambling behind her sister. No, Sarah, you can do it. Abbie had been counting in her head, and she knew that the two people, or whatever they were going to wake up any second now. They weren't running fast enough. She managed to find another gear and ran so hard that spots were starting to form in the front of her eyes. She held tight to Sarah's hand, and her sister's feet were barely touching the ground. They were almost there. Halfway down the driveway, Abbie saw the heavy wooden front door open, and a familiar-looking woman stepped out. She was tall and thin with thick dark hair, younger looking than Mrs. Constance. She held out her hand and spoke in a commanding voice. Hurry! The girls hardly had time to set foot on the landing before the woman whisked them inside and slammed the door shut with a house-shaking thud. Well, I hope you enjoyed that chapter. There are plenty more to go, so make sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming up next. There's a lot more to come. And if you are enjoying it, by all means, feel free to share this with your family and friends so that you can watch and listen together. I'm Eric Jingles, the author of The Nomies in the Surface Protocol. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.